Hey there, treasure hunting fans. Your pal Big D here with another episode of Star Trek Discovery, the review. In this episode, we're reviewing episode 6, which just aired last night on television. This episode's name was Lethe, and I think I'm spelling that right. It's actually spelled Lethe, so if I've said it wrong, I am sorry, but that's the way it looks at spelled, so that's the way I'm spelling it. So in this episode, it expands finally the further relationship between Michael Burnham and Sarek. We finally get to see a lot more of her interaction. Essentially, this episode takes place in that Sarek is being sent with another envoy for peace negotiations with the Klingons, and during his trip to that planet, a Vulcan sympathizer, an extremist, doesn't like the way that Sarek, and if you've watched Star Trek, you always know that Sarek's always been very fascinated with the human race. He's married two different human women. He's also had a half human, half Vulcan son, and obviously this incarnation of Star Trek, he's also helped raise a human child. So the extremists don't like that. These extremists that are on Vulcan are very much like the Vulcan way is the only way, and they don't like the meddling with other races. So in the attempt to kill him, they do set off a bomb that almost kills him, but because of this connection that Michael Burnham has, she realizes as he's dying that he's dying and she needs to save him. Of course, enter Captain Lorca, who decides, because he wants to help out his crew, decides he's going to go out there against orders and go out there to try to save Sarek. So they go out to this nebula where he's supposedly out in this nebula somewhere on a ship that's been badly damaged. And at that point, they launch a rescue mission. Meanwhile, Admiral Cornwell, who's been in a few episodes so far, comes up, brings her ship because she wants to talk to Captain Lorca because he's done some very questionable things over the course of the series so far. You know, bringing Michael Burnham on board and taking this other Lieutenant Tyler, who we saw in the last episode with Harry Mudd, and promoted him to chief security officer in this episode right away. This guy was being tortured for 7 months. She's got questions for him. Although his war record's really well, he's making a lot of right decisions, so she wants to go in. And in this episode, we learn that Admiral Cornwell and Captain Lorca have a past. They obviously have a past. They had a relationship at some point in the past. But she's deceiving him because she's actually there to get a better read on him. Because remember, in the last episode, it was exposed that his last starship was destroyed. He was the only surviving member. And now he had been with the Klingons, been tortured by the Klingons. So she didn't feel that maybe he was right for command anymore. So over the course of the episode, she does realize he's a pretty paranoid guy and he's having a lot of problems. And she threatens to take away his command, which we see a different side of Lorca at this point because he doesn't want his command to be gone. He loves his ship. He wants his ship. He's a man that needs his ship. And without that, what's he going to do? So you actually see him begging, please don't take my ship. But meanwhile, the main plot of the episode was trying to find Sarek and learning more about Sarek and Burnham's relationship. And we find out, and which I loved about this, first off, there was 2 mentions for the original series. They mentioned Constitution class, USS Enterprise, and they did mention Spock. So I was pretty stoked to see some more stuff linking to the original series. But in this episode, we learned that although Michael Burnham was raised by Sarek and his wife Amanda, and we all know Amanda is human, when she went through all the trials and went through the Vulcan Science Academy and graduated from the Vulcan Science Academy, which is going to be appointed to the Vulcan. I'm sorry, she graduated with honors. She's going to go to the Vulcan Science Academy. But unfortunately, we found out through the episode that Sarek was given a choice. Now, she'd always thought that the reason why she didn't get in was because of the fact she wasn't good enough, that she couldn't handle it, that she wasn't able to be, more or less, word Vulcan enough to be in this thing. But we found out through the episode that wasn't the case. Actually, she was. She was actually admitted, and they were very surprised, and they were very welcoming of her in, but they gave him a choice because of the fact he had 2 humans, because they considered Spock a human, that he only got 1 human that could go up. So he chose his son. Obviously, he chose his son. And of course, what we learned later on is Spock didn't choose to stay there. Spock chose to do a career in Starfleet. We learned that in the actually, we learned that in both the original series and the remake movie that came out in 2009, which I thought was really cool because when you watch the original series episode Journey to Babel, where we first really meet Sarek, you can't understand why when his shuttlecraft lands, he's coming on board and they introduce everybody and Kirk and McCoy are talking to him and stuff like that, that although his mother's very happy to see him, his father seems very distant. And I never could, even as a kid when I watched it, but I could never understand why. And this actually helps out a little bit more because with this timeline being established like this, you can understand he had a lot of high hopes that he took this one girl that he really thought had the ability, knew that she could be, that she was, Vulcan enough, even though she was human, to be in the Science Academy. he had to make this choice, and he thought there was a right choice, but in the end, Spock chose to go the other way, and had he chose Burnham, she would have gone into the Vulcan Science Academy, and none of this stuff would have happened. If you really think about it, had she gone into that instead of going to Starfleet, we wouldn't have this war and all this that they've gone through. Plus, he would have had one of his quote-unquote children still staying with him. So I thought it was a very neat dynamic to see the other side of Sarek, and for him to finally admit to it and realize there was some shame behind there. And although he won't admit he's Vulcan, and God forbid Vulcan has emotions, you could tell he was ashamed. And I thought it was a real moment for Michael Burnham, because once she realized she was not the reason, she did not disappoint him, he was the one that made the mistake, that she kind of broke her character a little bit and started becoming a little more relaxed. And you can see that at the very end of the episode with Lieutenant Tyler, where she reintroduces herself again, but a little bit more relaxed than the last time. So very well done episode. It really tied some things together, and it really showed some good character arcs for a couple characters, and I thought it was really well done. Now, we didn't get to see Saru very much in this episode. He wasn't really in it. Lieutenant Stamets is still acting very weird, and they did use him again for the spore drive, attached him up to the equipment. He's still acting very weird, although he's really funny because he's almost kind of like a comedian now. He's very jovial, very, hey, what's going on? How's everybody doing? So that was really cool to see. And we also got... Michael Burnham does have now a shadow, so to speak, in Cadet Tilly, who now is kind of following her, and she kind of realizes that even though Michael Burnham made a mistake, that she has a lot to learn from this girl, this woman, and that it can really help her career out down the long run. Because although she made that one mistake, up until then her career was flawless. Michael Burnham's career was flawless. She was in line to be a captain at some point, so it's really good to kind of see this stuff. And there's another great episode for the show. Just gets better and better. With that being said, I'm not done yet. I want to go on a little rant here for a second. My little rant is I'm kind of getting sick and tired of people bashing this show. This is a great show. It's really well done. Every show that's ever come since the original series, people have always criticized it. I remember when Next Generation came on. Let's all remember, Next Generation is hailed as the greatest Star Trek series ever. I don't believe that. I do love Next Generation, but the original series is still a way better show. Without original series, you ain't got no Star Trek. I said it. But with that being said, Next Generation, the first 2 seasons were abysmal. There was only a few handful of episodes that were any good. The majority of them were a joke. Deep Space Nine, same thing. And I've said this in the last episode. Voyager, same thing. Enterprise, same thing. They all struggled the first, even in a lot of cases, Next Generation too, second season before they hit the third season and took their stride. So you got to give the show a chance. It's only had 6 episodes. And all these people, they want to see all this. I want to see back the old days. It's not Gene Roddenberry's vision. It is Gene Roddenberry's vision. It's just a different vision. How long has Voyager been, not Voyager, but Enterprise been off the air? 13, 14 years? Times have changed. People have changed. This is they have to not just go to the old audience from the old series, but they need to get new people. People want to see something different, something new, something edgy and stuff like that. That's what this show gives people. Audiences are different now than they were 14 years ago. And people, I'm going to say this out to everybody, get over it. It's Star Trek. Learn to love it. If you love Star Trek, you will embrace anything that Star Trek does. Same thing with Star Wars fans. All the Star Wars fans, let's be honest. The last movie that came out, Rogue One, the movie that came out before, The Force Awakens, come on, those are a big departure from the original Star Wars movies. But you know what? Nobody complains about those. So that is my rant. I'm going to get off my soapbox. One last thing. I am stoked about this. They did renew officially today a season 2 of Star Trek Discovery. So all you haters out there, you know what? TS, because I got news for you. There's a whole other season coming after this one. So with all that said, everybody, take care. Thank you for watching my reviews. Remember to click the like button down below and the subscribe button if you want to see more from old Big D here. And until then, always remember, live long and prosper, and take care.